Hello gamers and welcome back to the worst to best series, starting with the snipers. I haven't made one of these snipers tier list worst to best videos in about 1.5 years, so I feel like it's a good time to bring it back. And one important thing to note here is that I've changed the format. Well, not changed the format per se, I've enhance the format. So I've added tiers, potential, and difficulty. And tiers can go from F to S, aka worst to best, because of the fact that there are a lot of weapons in a lot of these categories. So, for example, snipers, it's hard to rank one better than another, you know? I'm still gonna try my best to rank it worst to best, but every sniper is gonna be given a tier to show that they're pretty much the same power. And potential basically means how good a sniper can be at its peak efficiency. So for example, the BFG is gonna have a really low potential because it just can't kill that fast, it can't kill that many people. And the 𝙧𝙬𝙘 in contrast is gonna have really high potential because it can kill way more people. In contrast to the Scout, the BFG is gonna be way easier in difficulty, while the Scout is gonna be way harder in difficulty. So I feel like the 𝙧𝙬𝙘 and BFG are very good examples here. So the 𝙧𝙬𝙘 is gonna have really high potential and really high difficulty. So for an average player, that high difficulty is really gonna interfere with that potential. So you're not gonna really be able to use all of that potential that the 𝙧𝙬𝙘 has. But due to the fact that the BFG has such easy difficulty but not even that high potential, you're obviously gonna be able to use all that potential because it's a very easy sniper, even for the average player. So that's basically the format I'm gonna use for the worst to best series right now, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, and before I start, I gotta say that two guns can have roughly the same potential and difficulty, but not be in the same tier or level because of other factors such as ammo, speed, etc., stuff like that. And I just have to make that clear, alright? So let's start with the worst sniper. So starting at the worst sniper, we have the NTW-20, which I will put at the E tier. The NTW-20 doesn't have high potential, nor does it have any sort of difficulty whatsoever. So it will not be hard to reach that potential. But that potential obviously isn't very high and isn't very effective. The reason why I would put the NTW so low is because of the fact that it's just insanely slow in every aspect. Movement, ADS. Okay, ADS isn't even that bad, but movement, fire rate, reload speed, you can't stand up while aiming and stuff like that. So overall, it's just not very good. Sure, if you want a back map, go for it. That's on you. But yeah, that's why I put the NTW at the worst. In the next spot, we have the BFG-50, which is not surprising at all that I would put this here. I put this at the worst or the second worst, like forever now. You know, it's the usual. The tier I would give the BFG-50 is tier E, the same as the NTW. It's very similar to the NTW, where it doesn't have a lot of potential, nor does it have a lot of difficulty. The only real upside to the BFG compared to the NTW, I'd say, is the amount of speed that it has. And that's why I genuinely think it's better than the NTW. That's all I really have to say about this. Let's go on to the next one. So we're gonna jump up 2 tiers now for our next weapon, which is the AWS, which I'm gonna put at tier B. The AWS has pretty high potential and pretty mid difficulty due to the fact that the muzzle velocity isn't very high and it's an extremely fast sniper in a way. But the AWS has pretty slow muzzle velocity, but it has fast fire rate, a lot of bullets, 50 studs, 1 hit kill torso. It's a pretty solid sniper, but there's better snipers out there, you know? Next up, we have the M1903, which I'm gonna put in the B tier. The M1903 has somewhat high potential, and it's also quite easy to use in my opinion. So the difficulty isn't very high. The reason why I think this is because it has a pretty solid torso kill range of 75 studs, insanely high muzzle velocity of 3000, and 5 studs penetration. It's overall a pretty easy to use sniper rifle. Next up, we have the FT300, which is going to be our last B-tier sniper rifle. And it's with a very specific setup that I will put up on the screen very soon. So the FT300 has very high potential, I'd say, but it's also quite hard to use. Well, it's not insanely hard, but it has a pretty high skill ceiling, I'd say, because of the fact that the setup you use requires very high accuracy. The setup is very much focused on the integral suppressor having a further one-hit kill torso range, and without marksman kit, I also think it has further one-hit kill torso range, so the setup is very focused on that aspect, but that also means you only have one bullet, and you really need to play around that. But granted, that reload speed is extremely fast, so it's not the biggest of problems. And also the handling is fast, the ADS is fast, the move speed is fast. Everything is just fast about the gun, but you have to play around the one bullet capacity for it to be pretty good. And that's why I think it's a top B tier sniper. Next up we have the M107, which I think is our first A-tier sniper rifle. The M107 has very high potential, but it also has a very high skill ceiling, meaning being more difficult to use, because it is an extremely slow sniper rifle with a very high fire rate and extremely high recoil. It's a weird thing to use, and you gotta play around the very short steady time that you get with the scope, or you can just not use a scope at all, but I think that also decreases ADS speed, so there's a lot of things that goes into making an M107 setup. The M107 has very specific damage stats where it does more damage at range and less damage close up, and that means you can one-tap torso past like 100 studs, I think. So if you're playing Desert and you can really get that recoil down and really get those back-to-back shots, it is incredibly powerful. But due to the fact that it's so slow, you don't have a lot of reserve, and it's gonna be hard to find ammo, it's gonna stay in A tier, in my opinion. Next up we have the 𝙎𝙬𝙖, which I'd say is the easiest sniper rifle in the game. The 𝙎𝙬𝙖 is also at A tier, obviously, and the potential of this gun is pretty mid to high range, I'd say, while the difficulty is extremely low, so you have a very good balance here of just it being an extremely easy sniper to use. Because it one-shots towards all ranges, has 3000 muzzle velocity, has 10 studs penetration, has 7 bullets in a magazine. It is just such a baseline easy sniper, and it's almost brain dead to use. It's just good. It's just a good sniper. Next up we have the Mosin Nagant at tier A. This gun has high potential and also pretty high difficulty, and there's genuinely not a lot to say about this gun. It's a headshot machine. Hit your shots, shoot fast, I don't know, bing bang boom. So next up we have the TRG-22, not 42, 22 at tier A. The TRG-22 has pretty high potential, while also being in the sort of mid-range of difficulty, because it can one-shot torso in close quarters and has like 3300 studs per second muzzle velocity. It is a very good all-rounder, if that makes any sense. It's fast firing, good handling, 10 bullets, a lot of muzzle velocity, a torso kill, and it's just overall a pretty solid sniper. Next up we have the AWP. Not the ARM, the AWP. So the AWP is also in A tier, and I'd say the AWP has higher potential than the TRG-42, even though they're very similar. And I'll also say that the AWP has higher difficulty than the TRG-22 because of the fact that it has slower muzzle velocity. But it does shoot faster than the TRG-22, which I really like. And I think it has around the same torso kill range, so they're very equal weapons. But the fact that the AWP has higher fire rate than the TRG-22 makes me think it's better. Alright, that's my argument here. So yeah, the AWP, tier A. Next up we have the Dragunov SVDS, which I would just say is the AWP but better. It's just that simple. It's at tier A still, and the potential is extremely high on this weapon because it's semi-automatic and you can very much get those follow-up shots. And the difficulty, I'd say, is also around the mid-range. I would say it's sort of the same as the TRG-22. But the thing with the SVDS is also, I feel like it's the same thing with the Mosin, that it has this weird sway ADS, even though that the ADS is very fast. I don't know if I'm going insane thinking that, but it genuinely feels like that. But the SVDS has a 70 stud one-kill torso, which is further than both the AWP and the TRG-22, which makes it just better, I'd say, with having around the same fire rate and same potential. Now next up we have the R700 with 32 ACP, which is our first S-tier sniper rifle. So why is this an S-tier sniper rifle, you might ask? Well, it's basically like a budget scout. The potential is basically 10 out of 10. It's max potential, alright? And the difficulty is also 10 out of 10. But the problem with the 𝙬𝙬𝙬, I'd say, which makes it worse than these other snipers that comes up now, is its horrendous muzzle velocity. It has around 2.4 thousand with heavy barrel, so you gotta really work around that or get to know that muzzle velocity for it to really work, or you could just get the scout, but that is like rank 200 or something, you know. So yeah, the 𝙬𝙬𝙬, first rank S-gun, and it's the 5th best sniper in the game, I'd say. Next up, we have the K14, which is also in S tier. And this is a very peculiar sniper because I didn't really like it that much before, but it very much acts similar to the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with 32 ACP. I know that sounds crazy, but the difference is that, actually, I would say it's more of a fuse between the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with 32 ACP and something like the AWP. The K14 has extremely high potential. I wouldn't say it's as high as the 𝙬𝙬𝙬, but it's also in the mid to high difficulty range. So it's somewhat hard to use, but it's less hard than the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with 32 ACP, if that makes any sense. But the reason why I think it's better though, even though that the 32 ACP 𝙬𝙬𝙬 has higher potential, is because of the fact that it has a torso multiplier and has higher damage overall at range. So the thing is with the K14, it's that it can one-tap torso up to 40 studs, and I think it can two-tap, no, I don't think it can two-tap torso all ranges, but you can one-tap torso in CQC, which makes it a better all-rounder, because as good as you might be, you're not gonna hit all headshots in CQC, and that's why the K14 is a very good sniper for this. Next up, we have the 𝙬𝙬𝙬, also in the S tier. So the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 has extremely high potential. I would say it's slightly under the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with 32 ACP, and it also has very mid difficulty, I'd say. It has high potential with very mid difficulty because of the fact that it very much acts like a DMR at the moment. When it kills all ranges to the head, has 2,850 studs per second muzzle velocity, which is extremely good. They buffed the reload on the thing, and it aims pretty fast. So it acts more like a DMR if anything, and due to the fact that it has pretty high damage overall compared to something like the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with 32 ACP, you're gonna be able to hit those 2 shots much easier in CQC. So the potential, I would say, is around the 𝙬𝙬𝙬, but not the same, because the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 has more bullets and reloads faster, and that's why the 𝙬2K has slightly less potential. Next up, we have the rank 0 sniper, the Intervention. So this is a very special sniper, I'd say, because the potential, I'd say, is even under the K14 or 𝙬2K. I would say it's along the lines of the SVDS. Its ease of use is what really makes it shine. So I guess the way to put it is the fact that the Intervention has 3.2 thousand muzzle velocity with good ADS and a 150 studs torso kill range, and that's what really makes it good. The 150 studs torso kill range makes it sort of like it makes it into a cannon. And now you might say, oh well, what about the 𝙎𝙬𝙬? The 𝙎𝙬𝙬 is too slow, I think. That's my problem. The Intervention still has to sort of speed aspect to it, because you can kill multiple people in close quarters with it, I'd say, which you can't really do with 𝙎𝙬𝙬. Sure, you could, but the Intervention does it way better, and that's why I think the Intervention is the 2nd best sniper in the game. And at number 1, also S tier, I don't think this was really surprising. I have put the 𝙪𝙪𝙧 at number 1. The 𝙪𝙪𝙧 has max potential and max difficulty. Because obviously that's how it works. You gotta hit head to kill. But the thing is, like, with the 𝙪𝙪𝙧 compared to the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 with 32 ACP, even though they have the same difficulty and potential, the 𝙪𝙪𝙧 has 120 reserved, can pick up ammo from ARs, has 3000 muzzle velocity, can use scopes with marksman kit, which the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 can't. Well, you can do that on the 𝙬𝙬𝙬 if you don't want to use extended mag, and the 𝙪𝙪𝙧 just does it better. And it's the main part is the muzzle velocity in my eyes, and that's with 5.56. And if you want the 𝙪𝙪𝙧 to be a little bit slower but more precise, you can obviously use normal ammo, which makes the muzzle velocity around 3.3 thousand, and you also have a lot of penetration. So the 𝙪𝙪𝙧, I feel like, is a pretty perfect headshot machine. It's the sniper you want. I know people are gonna comment, oh, where's the Dragon of SVU? It's a DMR. I don't care what you think, it's a DMR. It's not a sniper. Alright, if you guys enjoyed the video, press the like button, but remember to even if you don't have any, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya, love you, mwah.